So recall that we have x squared minus 25 plus 12 over 4 of x then plus 9 over 4 equals to 0. This is what we have initially. So in this case, we can actually multiply through by the LCM, and the LCM is 4. So when you multiply each of these 10 by 4, you have 4x squared, you have 25 plus 12, and that is 37. Then with this x, then plus 9 is equals to 0. So this is the new equation that we have been asked to actually form. This is the new quadratic equation we need to form, given that alpha square and beta square, given the new root in this case. So that's how it works. But there are still some certain things you have that I said I'm going to explain, which you need to take note. Remember that I said that you have alpha plus beta to be equals to minus b over a, and we believe that alpha beta is also c over a, and alpha minus beta is equals to square root of b squared minus 4ac over a also. So you need to take note of this. These are the basic things you have to take note. Okay, now there are some other things you have to take note, which is alpha squared plus beta squared. Now let me give you a pattern whereby you can easily remember this. Let me also give you alpha cube plus beta cube, and I'll also give you alpha raised to the power of 4 plus beta raised to the power of 4. You must be familiar with all these three. Now this first one now is very easy to deal with. So remember this, remember this pattern that I said that I should have. So you have to follow this pattern. Put this in a bracket, put this in a bracket. So what do you have inside this bracket? You have alpha plus, what do you have in this bracket? You also have beta, right? I'm only trying to give you a pattern for it. Now, if you take what you have inside these two brackets, this is what you have here. You notice that they both have squares in common. Put the square here, right? Then the next pattern you have to follow is to write a negative sign here. These two will have to come down and then drop it down here. These two, drop it down. And then since you have taken the addition of the roots, the next thing you have to do now is to take the product. Then that's how to quickly remember alpha square plus beta square. I repeat, take this alpha plus, take this beta, and then if they have square in common, put it up there. Then minus this square will come down, then take the product. Since you are taking the addition, you take the product. So that's the pattern for if it is in form of square square. What if you now have cube cube? In this case also, you put this in a bracket. Remember that I really want to give you two patterns, the pattern for the square square and the pattern for the cube cube. So the rest, you can actually generate that yourself. So this is alpha plus, what do you have inside this bracket? Beta. So they have something in common. They have cube in common. If you are dealing with cube, okay, you follow the same pattern. But one thing is that they differs. It's not exactly the same pattern you have to follow. So this is alpha plus, then this is beta. Then we are done with that, right? Then the next thing for us to do now is to actually put a negative sign here, just like what we have done here. Then this 3 will come down. Okay? The same thing applicable. You've taken the addition. Then next for you to do is to take the what? Take the product. But it will not stop here. After taking the product, you still have to return, go back again and return the addition again. That is just the difference between the pattern for the square and the pattern for the cube. Okay, take note. So if you now want to deal with something like this, if you want to deal with something like this, you don't have a pattern for this one. Don't go and write alpha plus beta, then you put 4 up there. No. The pattern is that you have to break it down to this, just these two patterns I'm giving you. So you can actually break down this, you can, instead of putting a bracket here, what you just have to do is to put alpha square, then put a 2 outside. Do the same thing for this one, beta square, then put another 2 outside. Alpha square square is alpha 4. So this and this are still the same thing. So that means you want to follow this pattern that has square square. So then whatever you have to do now is to follow this pattern here. And this pattern says that if you have square square, what will you do? Whatever you have inside this bracket, so you pick what you have inside this bracket, which is alpha square plus what you have inside the bracket. That was the same pattern we followed initially in this case. What you have inside the bracket, what you have inside the bracket. And that's what I've done here. So what do they have in common? They both have squares in common, right? Then minus, these two will come down, these two will come down. Then the next thing for you to do after that is to take the product. I've taken the addition, I'll be just like this. Then next is to take